This is going to be a look at some Jalen Pitre film, and the first thing that pops off whenever you check out any of his film from the preseason is how versatile the guy is. Great tackler, really good in coverage. Of course, we know they're going to play. We would expect they're going to play a lot of too high looks there with the Texans, with Lovie Smith being involved and knowing his history. I did a one-play breakdown of a cover 2 scheme that they ran against the Rams in one of their preseason games. I just love everything that I see about Jalen Pitre. I liked him as a prospect coming out of Baylor. He played for Dave Aranda. Of course, the 2020 season, they didn't have a great season record-wise there at Baylor under Aranda, but very unsettled situation, obviously, with the pandemic and all the restrictions and everything. 2021, Pitre's last year there, Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Things turned out way different for Baylor, and that program looks like it's back. Anybody who plays for Dave Aranda and plays at a high level shows the trust that Aranda clearly had in him in terms of the multiple techniques that he was asked to perform. It's got to be someone who you look at in the NFL. And man, first-round talent, the way I described it was first-round talent that you could get in the second round. And the Texans got him and Derek Stingley. Unbelievable. You know, I thought I did a video on the Texans draft at one point and just was very complimentary. I'm a Ravens fan. I think our draft was great, clearly. And there's, the Jets, other teams across the league had a great draft. The Giants, but the Texans really improved their secondary and their defense overall. So let's look at some of the plays. We're going to separate these. The first part of these is going to be him playing man on a tight end. Some of them be run plays, some of them be pass plays. I got to do a better job of letting the play run and letting you guys get a look at it before I do any breakdown stuff. So, tight end run blocks, and the Texans are kind of forcing this, and look how physical and aggressive he is, but the Texans are kind of forcing this by alignment. But here he is again. I'll go over the alignment in a moment. I'm not going to use the end zone angle for any of these, to be honest with you. NFL.com website is kind of time-consuming to go get, film. So they've taken one of their defensive linemen and put him in what I call a 7. He's inside shade on this tight end. So what they're doing is they're forcing that tight end to deal with him if it's a run play to that side. Unless you're talking about, a read option. But in any case, he's going to step down onto this D-end. What that's doing is that's giving Jalen Pitre his run-pass read. You see, he reads run, so now he can just attack. Did he give it or did he keep it? He gave it. Let me go ahead and fold down and make the tackle. He has a big, strong running back. Jalen Pitre is strong enough to make tackles. Good tackler. I think he's shown that, already. They're going to use him a lot in man on third downs, I would expect, and he's got those skills. Got good hips. Great awareness of routes. He's not targeted here, so there's not much going on in terms of him, except you're getting this slant by number 1, and then out into the flats by number 2. Jalen Pitre's seen it all, man. Not one of those guys that's going to get picked by this. He's not going to be too high. You can see it, the timing of it. He definitely goes right underneath of that slant. Not going to be targeted on all of these. Not going to be in perfect coverage relationship for all of these either. I'm trying to use film from as many preseason games as possible. One of my patrons asked me to check this out. Canes 411 and really cool look at other teams. I can't wait to do this stuff for more people if they ask me to look at specific players. I like Jalen Pitre. I like how he starts to press this, not exactly parallel to the line of scrimmage, but toward the sideline in a manner that he can make contact with this tight end. Tight end and him are hand fighting. Tight end gets the first shot. Kind of creates a little bit of separation. You'd like to see Pitre challenge it, but the ball was thrown to the outside shoulder. Going to be difficult for him to get to. Still, if you ask me, a good rep. Even though there's possibility for the guy to catch the ball. Sometimes offense just executes. All right, you got twins eye. So twins eye means 2 receivers to one side, tight end backside to the other, and an eye backfield. Pitre's going to get a run read. They've got this corner walked up here on the line of scrimmage, outside of the tight end. Really cool. They've walked out the will. Typical 4-3 adjustment to 21 personnel twins. So this is the will linebacker right here. He's walked out, we call it apexing the number 2 receiver and the tackle. So basically, if you were to draw a triangle between the number 2 receiver and the tackle, and with the tip or the top of that triangle be the middle of the will linebacker's feet, and then draw a line, you would create 2 equal triangles, a mirrored image. So by apex, we mean be exactly in the middle of those 2 guys. So they're keeping 2 DBs to each side, even though they've got twins. And Pitre over here is manned on the tight end, just getting a tight end read. He has real disciplined eyes. I don't see him as someone who is constantly looking in the backfield, for real. Now, you'll get the end zone angle here in a moment. You'll be able to confirm that. Great tackler, if you ask me. I didn't give you the end zone angle for that one. My apologies. Same formation, other side. They've walked the will out a little further over number 2, probably because it's to the field, would be my guess. But in any case, here's Pitre. He's got a tight end backside, so he's spun down into the box a little bit, reading that tight end. Another run play to that side, fills expertly, and you do get the end zone angle of this one. My apologies. So plays downhill, knows where to fit, great tackler. I know at Baylor he played, a lot of people refer to it as like a box safety. He's not a box safety. I mean, he's a guy who can do everything. Just so you know, he's up here. Right? And again, the Texans have covered up this tight end. Now this is a 6. This is maybe slightly inside shade. I would call this a 6. Head up is your even technique. So head up on the center is a 0. Head up on the guard is a 2. Head up on the tackle is a 4 and a 6. Don't ask me to explain to you that 7 ends up being inside a 6 there. I can't. Great read, fits inside the tight end's block, nowhere for the running back to go, and an awesome tackler. Complete football player. That's why he was Defensive Player of the Year in that conference last year. Going to be a huge asset to them playing man on the tight end and on third downs, or playing man against the tight end, a run situations where they want to try to get another guy in the box or walk another guy up to the line of scrimmage. All right, so Pitre here at safety. It's cover 2 against play action. Cover this in a one-play video I did and released early Friday morning. Would we like to see him, recognize that the number 2 receiver over here, which was a tight end, is pass blocking, and he can go ahead and go with number 1 across the field? Yeah, but there's still going to be a completion. I mean, even if he runs here, and he can't, because he's got to worry about another staple Rams pass concept, double crossers. So it's not like he can just take off, but we'd like to see him be a little further over there. Certainly not his fault that the ball was completed there. All the conflict that the Rams create for inside linebackers. I'm gonna let this start and let you see like the first split second multiple times. Watch all the conflict that's created for these 3 guys. And I know we're talking about Jalen Pitre, but I think this is related. On the play action concept, and with this ball being completed, somewhere in this area here, the linebackers would be a big help to have them available. But look at all the conflict that's created for them. With the run action to their right, the offense is left. And then, inexperienced guys, obviously, not getting to their landmarks in their zone defense. Because you can see by the corners and the safeties' posture, corners are back to the sideline, face mask into the middle of the field. Clearly a zone. So it's not Pitre's fault that this ball was completed. I would still like to see him play it a little better, even though he is identifying the route. A very smart player. Very savvy. Going to be used in cover 2 often. This is a screen that's going to go for a touchdown. And I think he's good enough to get the job done in cover 2. He sees the screen faster than everybody else. Just better angles by the lineman. Me personally, I would say that we'd like for him to fit inside of this block, but we'd like for him to fit on the backside of this block here, and then let this guy be on the front side. But, mid-play adjustments like that, I mean, that's a lot to ask to judge someone to give him, assign any blame to him for this is, misappropriated blame, if you ask me. But looking at it now, you'd say, okay, we'd like for him to fit on the back side of this, and this guy to fit on the front side, because it is a 3-on-3. It is 2 blockers and a ball carrier against 3 defensive players. But certainly look at the size of the guys that are getting out here on the screen to block, and you would think they would have an edge. You got one unblocked guy, number 20. They're not able to handle it. Don't think Pitre, played it bad at all. He's going to be able to play cover 2 safety just fine. Like here he is again. Cover 2. To the backside, you got the X receiver. And then these guys, one of these guys is a different inside linebacker than the ones I spot chatted earlier. They just don't have much depth. They don't have much depth in their drop at all. It is 3rd and 4, and they have an underneath dropper coming at them, but just not enough depth in their drop. And you've got this huge expanse of space between the linebacker level and the safety level. Look at the distance that's there. Just too much space for a quarterback to not be able to find a throwing lane and fit it in between there. Pitre does get involved in the tackle. Again, playing cover 2, this time down in the red zone. Against a spread formation, he's to the trip side. Nothing doing in terms of him being targeted at all. Just showing you the different ways that we could expect him to be used. And things that he's capable of doing in terms of being effective at them. Again, to the trips. Nearly gets an interception, but his teammate jumps in front of him. Texans are going to be an interesting team to me. With the DB talent that they have, Stingley, him, and a couple other guys, I think they'll be better than they get credit for, to be honest with you. I know that, losing Deshaun Watson and a lot of people don't know how good Davis Mills played at the end of last year. I'm actually in the middle of a video, or trying to do a video on that topic, Davis Mills, but there's so much film that I'm having to filter it down into 18, 20 plays that you guys might like to see. So some would say cover 4. You're getting this nice, neat look here at the 4 DBs being evenly dispersed across. These 2 corners were originally lined up like cover 2, and then they kind of, bailed. Let's watch it one more time. But Davis Mills, a guy who I think can win some football games for him. Last year, it's not like all of his success was at the end of the year against teams who were playing, already in the playoffs. I mean, he did have trouble with San Francisco in week 16, 17, somewhere around there. But San Francisco was a hell of a football team. All right, let's talk about this one. This is similar to the cover 2 one-play review that I did and a play that I already talked about with you guys earlier. There is trips over here. All right, Pitre's the safety to the 1 receiver side. Getting this, kind of RPO type look. We called it steal, where the running back is crossing the quarterback's face, and presumably he might be reading this guy. But in any case, you got the number 1 receiver running here, and watch this time, Pitre takes him. Versus that cover 2 that I showed you guys earlier, where I said, hey, look, it's not his fault that this ball is completed, but we would like to see him be a little bit closer to that receiver, run with him a little bit better. He's got a different alignment here. He's much closer to the line of scrimmage, number 1, and he's only got 1 receiver to his side. So, not two exactly the same plays. It's not like, he made an adjustment. Let me know what you guys think of Jalen Pitre as a starting safety in the NFL. I think you're going to get a guy who plays multiple techniques at a really high level, a guy who, as I'm showing you still, is a good tackler, really good in coverage, super smart, has a lot of plays under his belt. I know early in his career at Baylor, not to say he was a disappointment, but you didn't get that same type of production that you got in 2021, when I believe he was basically playing like nickel, in their base defense, their star, I guess you want to call it. But a great player, a great talent. Any team in the NFL would want this guy on their team. And just another example of a super versatile young safety. You know, I did a Twitter video, if you follow me on Twitter, Dax Hill, Kyle Hamilton, Jalen Pitre, just so many young guys, Jaquan Brisker, even though, you know, I know he's hurt right now. Just so many guys coming into the league who've played multiple positions at safety in college. They're really prepared, almost in some ways overly prepared for the myriad of schemes and run and pass concepts that you're going to see in the NFL. Because, you know, if you've listened to my videos at all, you know, I say that the NFL is often like 6, 8, 10 years behind college in terms of offensive evolution. The things that college football teams are seeing now in terms of patterns and how the schemes are evolving is the things that'll be in the NFL 5, 6, 7 years from now. That'll be more widespread. Let me put it that way. If you look back at the run and shoot in the early 90s, it was something that was in college with far more propensity than it was in the NFL. You know, the Houston Oilers and then the Atlanta Falcons were, you know, the two only run and shoot teams that I remember, at least from my childhood or teenage years. At that same time, there was a shit ton of college teams running the run and shoot. The spread in the late 90s, you know, early 2000s, there were a lot more college teams running the spread than there were NFL at that time. The spread to run teams, same thing, that evolution in college. The spread to run teams, you know, there were others, but Gus Malzahn, who, you know, rose to prominence at Auburn, but has been around for a long time, is a guy who, you know, there were a lot of college spread to run teams, and there weren't in the NFL. Those are the types of things, though, that in my opinion, college safeties see more of. They see a more diversity of attack than you do in the NFL. The NFL offenses are often very cookie cutter and very much the same concepts that you see each week. Let me know what you think about that thought. First of all, that last thought, that little 2-minute monologue I did there at the end, and what you think of Jalen Pitre's play, the breakdowns that I presented you today. Think he'll be used to play man on tight ends, slot receivers as well. I think he'll be effective there. Too high safety look, probably play some nickel in certain alignments as well. Actually, I had 2 plays where he lined up at nickel, and I didn't show them because they were quite inconsequential. And then he's a great run support defender as well. When he gets a good run read, he takes great angles and is able to support, you know, and fit in the correct gap. Appreciate you guys checking out the video. If you appreciated it, you know, please consider sharing on social media and becoming subscribing to my channel if you enjoy the content.